Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. nangakong tutulungan ang mga maliliit na negosyante, MSME, upang palakasin ang global competitiveness. Yan po ang ating pag-usapan. Kasama po si Sir Joey Concepcion, Go Negosyo Founder at the Private Sector Lead for Jobs. Sir Joey, magandang araw.
Magandang araw rin.
Yes sir, ano po ang inyong masasabi sa naging payag po ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na kanyang tutugunan ang mga hamon na kinakarap ng mga micro, small and medium enterprises upang palakasin pa ang kanilang global competitiveness?
The other day, may MSME Summit kapartner natin dito yung Department of Trade and Industry at yung Go Negosyo. At hindi nakapunta si President Marcos, pero ang pumunta ay si Executive Secretary Bersamin. At talagang ang attention ni President Marcos ay ang mga MSMEs kasi silang karamihan ng mga negosyante dito ay mga nano, micro at small, medium enterprises. Now, kung gusto natin talagang umahon ang Pilipinas at lumakas ang economy, hindi lang ang malaking negosyante ay dapat umunlad. No? Importante itong mga MSMEs natin ay talagang will be able to be more sustainable and grow. No? And kailangan mas marami mga MSMEs maging medium-sized entrepreneurs in the coming years. Kaya itong programa na ginagawa ng DTI Go Negosyo tumutulong dito sa mga micro, small at medium enterprise. Ang importante dito ang access to mentorship. So over 1,000 people ang pumunta dito sa Manila Hotel sa MSME Summit. Karamihan dyan mga enablers, mga mentors natin, mga government agencies na tumutulong dito sa MSME. So it's a whole of nation approach dito sa pagtutulong dito sa mga micro at small at medium enterprises. Pati yung mga malaking corporations, no? Katulad ng SM, Ayala, lahat sila ay tumutulong ngayon sa mga MSMEs. Mga bangko nila, yung BDO, BPI Banko, lahat yan, mga microfinance institutions, kailangan tumulong rin dito. Kasi ang importante, access to mentorship, access to market, and especially access to money.
Opo. Gaano kahalaga, Sir Joey, ang pagpapalakas ng global competitiveness ng mga maliliit na negosyante, MSMEs?
Well, number one, dito, if we're to include ang mga farmers natin in agriculture, no, sa micro at small, kasi karamihan ng mga farmers natin dito, micro. At importante dito, as I was explaining during the MSME Summit, is the agriculture sector. Unless we fix agriculture, the Philippines will not be competitive. What we need to do is to create scale. Importante yung scalability. Katulad ng mga malaking corporations, why are we able to compete? Kasi we have scale. Now, si President Marcos is aware of this, and this is the reason why he has remained as Agricultural Secretary, which is very important. Katulad ng mga CEOs natin dito sa mga malaking corporation, if something is wrong in one division or one unit or one business, we take over and we run that business ourselves. No? That is very important. And the President knows that agriculture is the key to poverty alleviation. Kasi karamihan ng mga micro-entrepreneurs natin dito are farmers, no? Mga micro-farmers. So, the method, the proposal we've given to the President and is that ang dami natin malaking agricultural companies dito at they're willing to absorb them into their whole value chain. And hopefully, the agrarian reform will be fixed, no? Whereby yung mga the lands that were given to our farmers, kasi hindi pwedeng isanla nila yan at or ibenta mga lupa na to. Pero ang nangyayari dito is that over time, yung mga next generation of mga anak nila ay maging farmers kasi nakikita nila ng mga tatay nila ay talagang they're still poor, no? And so they're not encouraged and they move to other sectors. Kaya napabayaan minsan ito mga lands, and what can be done here is that these lands should be leased out. So isang recommendation natin kay President Marcos is once this titling and ownership is cleared, the lands should be allowed to be leased by these farmers to the bigger corporations, or pwede silang to group together and form a cooperative and be under a big brother who will help them provide. They can provide the mentorship, they can provide also the market, and pag ganyan, yung mga bangko, siyempre magpapautang rin sa kanila kasi tama ang business model ng mga maliit na negosyante na to, ang mga farmers, no? So, yeah, that is very important. Is access to mentorship, money, and market, even in the agri sector. So hopefully in the coming weeks or months, we should hear some news on ang ginagawa ni Secretary Estrella dito in really cleaning up titles so that the big brothers can, and other people who want to get into the agriculture, at least the minimum viability to become a viable an entrepreneur in agriculture is 24 hectares, no? Now, it cannot be 3 or 4 or 5 hectares. Walang scale siya, pero 24 hectares, you're already viable.
Bilang pakikibahagi ng mga negosyante, ano ba ang dapat tutukan ng MSME owners upang maging competitive sila sa global market? Sir Joey?
Well, at this point in time, beyond being competitive in the global market is survivability here, no? Sa mga maliit na negosyante, especially our micro-entrepreneurs, hand-to-mouth existence lang yan, eh. And ang kailangan dito ay talagang their businesses, for them to grow, kailangan nila ng isang mentor, na turuan sila na paano to be able to expand, no? So yung skill nila is very important, whether it's in culinary, on retail, or etc. Karamihan kasi ng mga negosyante dito na maliit ay sari-sari stores, karinderias, no? So the level of their expansion is limited kasi ang dami ng mga sari-sari store, karinderias dito. So those are what is good now is the digital platforms are available. Nandiyan ang mga ibang platforms na pwede sila matutulong sila. Even Pure Gold SM nag-digitalize na. So access to products that they can sell will be much easier, no? Delivery and all of that, may mga digital platforms na rin dito para sa mga sari-sari stores. So this is happening right now. So itong mentorship na binibigay ng mga mentors namin at yung access to credit ang importante ngayon for them to be able to, those who are doing well, they can expand, no? From a sari-sari store to a grocery, etc. No? So that is what we are trying to do now, to help them survive. Once they are able to survive and be sustainable, then they can start to expand.
Ano naman ang dapat bigyan ng prioridad ng pamahalaan upang matulungan ng mga MSMEs upang makasabay po sila sa global market?
Well, in the end, access to money or credit is the most important. In agriculture, medyo may problema dyan kasi many of the banks are not lending the agri sector dahil sa risk. Wala silang collateral, yung lupa na binigay sila during the land reform. You cannot borrow on it, no? You cannot make it sanla and you cannot sell it. So it's not an asset that you can use to borrow money. So working capital is a problem, and that is what we're trying to work on right now, no? And the only way that working capital can be done is kung may kasama silang isang malaking big brother, no? At isang example dyan, si Winston Uy ng Universal Leaf dito sa Upper Ilocos Norte. He is one of the biggest tobacco operations. Ang karamihan ng mga partners siya dyan ng mga tobacco farmers. So, kapartner niya lahat yan. At malaking bagay, yung mga tobacco farmers yan, malaking kita nila. And they're one of, si Winston Uy is one of the, that's how they created scale. Sumama sila kay Mr. Winston Uy ng Universal Leaf. There thousands of these farmers, and they're doing well, no? And they export a lot of tobacco overseas, no? At nangyayari dyan rin sa Palawan kay Christian Moller. Lionheart Farms, no, on coconut. So we have many examples of this. So talagang yung Big Brother approach is the only way to create scale. Even if not agriculture, even here in traditional business, sari-sari stores, carinderias, itong programa na ginagawa ng Sari-Suki, itong digital platform, all of this will, digitalization is helping. And of course, the e-wallets katulad ng Paymaya at GCash, malaking bagay ito sa mga MSMEs na rin. No?
Opo. Ano ang inyong mga magiging plano, hakbang, upang matulungan ang ating mga MSME na makatawid sa global market bilang ASEAN Business Advisory Council representative?
Well, it's very clear that we cannot compete right now in agriculture with our neighboring ASEAN countries. No? Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and all of these countries have huge tracts of lands. They have scale with their farmers, and they're able to, presyo ng rice dyan at sugar are low. No? But I think the president is, and of course, the entire Department of Agriculture is one in trying to see that hopefully in the coming years that we are able to create this scale. No? Scalability is very important to be able to compete. We will never be able to compete against the big companies in ASEAN because we don't have scale. And I think the president knows what to do. He has a good team. He has Secretary Estrella, who is head of Department of Agrarian Reform, which is very critical at this point in time, so that they can really determine the amount of land that's available, leasable to the big brothers and to other farmers, cooperatives, no? That can own more land or lease more land so that they can plant more and be more competitive. Because without scale, you cannot bring down your cost to produce. No? That's very clear. Not whether it's in agriculture, maski anong bagay. No? Even in putting up a restaurant, sometimes one restaurant is not enough, and sometimes that's why you see Jollibee, McDonald's. They have business models, they franchise out, and they create scale. And it doesn't mean that they own all of these Jollibees. They share it with the entrepreneurs who are willing to set up restaurants like this. No? So itong franchising concept that is being done for restaurants and services can be adopted in agriculture, which will create scale. No?
Mensahe na lang po, Sir Joey, sa ating pong nanunood, mga kababayan nating sumusubaybay sa ating programa sa mga oras na ito. Go ahead po.
Well, ang tingin ko dito, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang pag-ahon dito sa Pilipinas. Let's be positive, no? Marami dyan minsan para tumitingin dito sa mga negative news, no? At ang ginagawa na itong administration natin ni President Marcos is to really help the poor people. If we're not able to help, bulk of our population are in poverty, no? And it is part of our duty as successful businessmen to really help the smaller the negosyantes natin para we have one nation that will have prosperity for everyone, no? And not just a few. And I think that this is the mission of this administration. At ang kagandahan dito ngayon, I see President Marcos is really embracing the private sector as a partner, no? And nakita natin yan sa MSME Summit just 2 days ago sa Banio Hotel. The Department of Trade and Industry at GoNegosyo is working closely and coordinating very well para tulungan lahat ng mga micro, small, and medium enterprises. So I believe that our country has a great future ahead under this administration, and the private sector will be all out to support this government.
Maraming salamat sa inyong oras, Ginoong Joey Concepcion, GoNegosyo founder at private sector lead for John.